Good afternoon, everybody. This is your DFS Army Bold Calls NBA DFS podcast for March 11th, 2019. And I am your host today, BoomersDaddy. Joining me, as always, the one, the only, the salty Laker fan, Shy. What's up, Bear?
What's up, man?
Sorry, I got to give you a little bit of flack, and but I promise that's the last time I'll ever do it unless something crazy just happens. But one of the reasons why I did that today is, did you guys just see who you signed to a 10-day contract?
Yeah, we did the same thing last year.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that you knew, because the now he did win us a lot of money last year on one slate. But that was one slate. The overall experiment of this gentleman is basically what he's been relegated to the last, what, 3 years of 3 years of the last 3 years this time of year. He's a roster filler towards the end of the season for, well, the last 2 years, the Lakers. And that's pretty much what he's been doing. So
Yeah. Yeah, he's basically the sign that the season's over.
Yep. So, which, I mean, I don't think you guys really needed to make this signing in order for it to happen, but you at least know and understand. So,
Yeah.
But the Lakers aren't on the slate today. The Thunder are, the Nets are, the Rockets are, the our favorite game of the night, the Kings and the Wizards are. This is a nice little 6-game slate on a Monday afternoon or Monday evening.
This is one of my favorite slates we've had in quite a while, so I like a lot of what I'm seeing here.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I really do enjoy. This slate is going to be, in my opinion, a lot of fun. So, want to touch on one thing. I want to hit on this real quick. Okay. Guys, this is not the time of season to try to reinvent a process other than what you're working on right now. How you've been doing it most of the season. Just because you're not having success at this point in the season doesn't necessarily mean you're on the wrong track. Now, I say that leading into this. I don't think he's going to mind me calling him out, but I did have a nice little chat with our DFS Army member, Magic School Bus, this morning, or Magic Skull Bus, as in Viking skull clap type thing. So, and basically what I have figured out is he is in his head. Okay. Now, that can happen when you've had success in DFS, no matter how big or small, and then all of a sudden you go absolutely completely cold. Now, he added another element of basically switching from FanDuel to DraftKings about a week ago, had a nice beginner slate, and then hasn't won since. Now, if you haven't played on DraftKings and you're used to FanDuel, it can be a little bit of a culture shock, just because of the fact that you have multi-position eligibility, you have all that good stuff that you have to get used to. So basically, this is what I did. I basically told him that he's getting in his head, and we're going to simplify the process. And what I did by that is I basically took his everything that he's been doing and I cut it down to the nitty gritty. I gave him about 10 steps and told him, you're not doing anything but these 10 steps. I don't want you to worry about anything else other than these things. The first one is we readjusted his contest selection. Okay. He's playing $17 and he's playing about 25 lineups, which in my opinion, this type of year, unless you've been doing it all year long and you understand the risk that it comes with playing just one lineup, you should be playing multiple lineups. Okay. gives you the opportunity to kind of cover yourself if, say, somebody gets scratched. And then it allows you to have multiple shots at different tournaments. I didn't put him in anything over than $3. I had him max out the quarter. I had him max out the $1 single. And I had him max out the $2 single and the $3 three. Basically, the $3 three entry max. Okay. I didn't put him in the 50-cent one, 150 or anything like that. And I basically told him that he's going to run 25 lineups. Okay. He's going to use our DK coaches player pool. He's going to adore their core or his core. He's going to like anybody that Keg is today's DK coach, by the way, that puts a 3 or 4 star on there. He's going to love the 3 or 4 stars. And then he's going to like anybody else that's on the player pool. Okay. And the only way he's going to deviate from that is based on the news. Or if he asks myself. He's not going to look at anything that FanDuel coaches are saying about their players or anything like that. Skull, I know you're listening. I want to add one more thing. You are going to take the people that we love, because on this show, we talk more about matchups and opportunities, and then we distinguish based on price. I feel like it allows us to talk better about, who's in good spots and who's in not. You're going to take those guys that we love, and you're going to put another love on there in the DS. And then you're going to run it. Okay. And basically, I told him that he needs to do this for the rest of this week, Monday through Friday, every day he plays. For the next 2 weeks, Bear, there's not a slate lower than 6 games. Okay. And this is what I'm trying to have him establish, is getting out of his head and him not having the confidence in being able to choose his own player pool based on the recommendation of coaches. Okay. I'm taking the guesswork out of it for him. Now, I do not recommend this for everybody. Okay. It is a good way to start building a process, but he's doing it on a new site. That is one of the reasons why I instructed him the way that he did, or that I did. What I would start doing, and Bear, you can correct me on this, is I would start gearing up and making sure that you have something sound to where when we get into playoffs, the second week of April, that you are able to basically rock it out. Because the playoffs, just to let everybody know, the DFS Army absolutely smashes because of the knowledge that we have in the game. And we can think along the same lines as NBA coaches with adjustments. Because you've got 7-game series, and just because what happens in game 1 doesn't mean it's going to happen in game 2. And we can game theory around that, and it is absolutely just... there's a Damian Lillard meme or GIF that I want to throw out there, and it's just like... So...
yeah.
That's my little rant this morning. Anything you want to add to that before we get going?
No, just that another reason why we like this time of year is because there is a lot of most playoff teams already have their rotations pretty much set. And if you look today, outside of Cleveland, every team playing today has something to play for, making it to the playoffs, staying in the playoffs, positioning, seeding, every single team. Toronto, Sacramento, Washington, Detroit, Brooklyn, Charlotte, Houston, Utah, OKC, Boston, Clippers. Every single one of these teams has something to play for that they have to win. So that's why I said earlier how much I love this slate, because there's not too much tanking going on here.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you just look at the standings, let's give a little bit of a rundown here. Charlotte is out of the playoff picture right now, but they are tied with the Magic for the 9 seed, but they're only a game behind the Heat for the 8 seed. Brooklyn and Detroit who interestingly enough play each other tonight. They are jockeying for the 6-7 seed position. The winner tonight either stays or goes into the 6th seed, depending on who wins. Boston needs to, if they win tonight, they go a half a game closer to Indiana for that 4 seed, who is tied with Philadelphia. Toronto's trying to catch Milwaukee. You know, and well, the Wizards aren't really playing for anything, and neither are the Kings. They're pretty much, well,
it's not mathematically done. They still have a chance.
Yeah, the Kings need to go on a run, and Boston and they need some help from the Clippers' opponents. But so they're not mathematically eliminated, but it is looking dicey for them.
And they're playing under the premise that they're going to still have a chance to get in. So they're playing still really hard, and in their minds, they're making the playoffs.
Right. And Scott Brooks is not a guy that is going to sit back and just let his team get rolled over just because they're not in the playoff hunt anymore. Yeah. I watched it for years. That's not his MO. You know, the Jazz, they need to win tonight. They would pull within a game and a half of the 5 seed. Oklahoma City, if Houston loses tonight, they'll be tied with you know, those two teams will be tied again for the 3 seed, with I think Oklahoma City holding the tiebreaker. I'm not quite positive on that one, but the season series isn't done yet, I don't think either. So, like, every single one of these games, like you said, except for one, kind of pretty much has playoff implications. So I love it. Like it is, like you said, it's one of my favorite slates of the year so far. You know, there's 2 teams that don't have something to fight for.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's go on to point guards here. Russell Westbrook, he is 11-3 on FanDuel. He is a whopping, pull it up. He's not expensive enough on DraftKings. He's 10-8 on DraftKings.
He's cheap on both sides.
Yeah. He's really, really, really cheap
given his floor. But I will say this: here's what we're going to see a lot of. We're going to see a lot of. So one of the things that I start my research off with, besides, you know, very similar to what Luce was saying this morning, you know, I look at totals, I look at, you know, betting models, I look to see what stands out, which games I can attack that might not be as owned. The totals on this game are relatively low, 226. Right?
That's pretty high for being in Utah.
It is pretty high, but it's, when you look at it across the, you know, all the other games, like it's pretty even, right? It's the second highest one, but the first highest one, Washington Sack, is far and away the highest, and then you have everything else in the mid 220 range. So it's about even with the rest of them. It's half a point higher than the second highest one. But my point here is, I look at the last several weeks, usually about 2 weeks. Sometimes I'll go as low as 1 week. Sometimes I'll do both and compare and see what positions each team on the slate has been doing well against and what position they haven't been doing well against. Utah they're the second best team at defending the point guard of all the teams on the slate over the past 2 weeks. Now, why do I bring that up? Because a lot of people will look at that matchup and say, oh, that's not good for Westbrook. And then they'll look at his recent games, and he's had some good ones, but he's had some bad ones. And they'll say, oh, he's too volatile. And so what I'm getting at here is I don't think you'll see a chalk Westbrook today because they play Utah. He smashes all bad matchups. So I've seen it all year, 3 years. I've seen it over and over and over and over and over again. So the way I'm looking at this here, I really believe that Westbrook is going to be he's not going to be single digits, right? But I don't see him being like 40% either. So I do like that opportunity given the lower ownership. Having said that, though, Keith, he's not my top point guard.
He's not mine either. But I want to go ahead and add this into. If you look at his last 4 games in Utah, okay, you've got a 38.9. That was a couple days before Christmas. Then going back to last season, a 58, 34.1, 75.2, 39.7. It's not a slam dunk. Now, with that said, typically more often than not, his smash games against Utah typically come at home, as we saw the last time. But like they don't have Rubio. I think they're missing. I think that their point guard tonight is probably going to be Dante Exum. Well, I say that. Well, yeah, because Rubio's out, Nito's out. So
Nito's out,
Exum,
but remember, Exum is coming off of a long haul. Not playing. So unfortunately, I don't think he'll play that much.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's their only available point guard, like true point guard. Their point guard is going to be Donovan Mitchell, and you're probably going to see Royce O'Neal start for Rubio. Like you said, like you alluded to, he's not our top guy, but he is a guy. And he's got probably the highest ceiling of any of the point guards not named Kyrie Irving. So I think you have to have one of those two tonight. If you're fading both of them, you better hope that one of them doesn't go nuts. But it's one of those situations where like you can legit fade both of them because of the construction of the slate. But I think the winning tournament lineup's going to have one of the two. Just because I don't foresee both of these guys absolutely like tanking. I see one of these guys going for 65.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Who is your top point guard on the slate? Because I want to hear this. Because I think I know who it is.
Okay. I'm going Kyrie. So a couple of reasons why. First of all, he's under 10K. Love that. Absolutely love that. Second of all, with all of the ownership, heading towards Sac Washington, which I get. I really do. I get it. The Boston Clippers is, I really love that game. Boston, for the fact that Tatum is out, there's a lot of value there. The Clippers have been playing pretty well as of late, but across the board, like their point guard. So we've got to understand that Patrick Beverley is not their starting point guard. You look at all the different sites and they designate him as a point guard / shooting guard, or FanDuel, he's the point guard. But he starts as their 2 guard, and they start Shaman at the 3. And all 3 of those guys, Alexander as their point guard, all 3 of those guys are FanDuel designated point guards. So that's tough. So I don't. Ultimately, they're going to have the Celtics are going to have Kyrie, they're going to have Smart, they're going to have Jaylen Brown, they're going to have Hayward, they're going to have all those perimeter players out there. So I'm going to construct rosters today one of 2 ways. Kyrie and some of the bigs for the Celtics, or Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, and some of the other guards for the Clippers. Like I'm not playing Kyrie and Hayward and Jaylen, because I don't see all 3 of those going off, although I will have that in some game stack lineups. But outside of the game stack lineups, I just think this game is going to be up and down, run and gun, and a lot of points. So I really like that game in general. And Kyrie, Tatum being out is yet one more volume ball handler / shooter to take away from Kyrie, that now gets him even more opportunities. So yeah,
I really do like Kyrie. There's a lot of Celtics I actually have interest in, but Kyrie's obviously the favorite. He's he's going to have the ball in his hands the whole time. And it doesn't bother me at all. Now, I am interested to see if they stick Pat Bev on him.
They will at some point. They will at some point.
And then at that point, like, see, here's my thing is I like Kyrie, but it's not that Pat Bev can't shut him down for stretches. Like contain him. I guess that's a better word. Contain him. In that case, I don't think I'm going to be pairing guys like Jaylen Brown and Kyrie together, because I think if, at some point Kyrie is going to have to defer to some of these other guys.
Right.
And I don't I don't know. It's just hard. I have a lot of interest in a lot of Boston guys. I just don't know how much interest I have in a lot of them together.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I said, right? It's either Kyrie. So if I do I want to stack another Celtic with Kyrie, it'll probably end up being like either a Morris or a Horford.
Okay.
But it's not going to be any of the other perimeter guys. And if I don't play Kyrie, I don't mind playing, like 2 or 3 of the other Celtics.
Yeah, like I think you can play Jaylen Brown and Gordon Hayward together now that Jason Tatum's out. I think you can play Horford as well. Aaron Baines is on a minutes restriction. So you're going to see some Daniel Tice and some Semi Ojeleye soaking up some of those backup minutes down low as well. Like I love Al Horford. I love Marcus Morris. I don't know if I would play those two together either. Like you've got to be very, very intentional, in my opinion, with how you play these Boston guys. But it all starts with how much Kyrie are you gonna want to expose yourself to? That's the first question you have to answer, and then you can answer every other question after that. What about De'Aaron Fox, Thomas Satoransky in that game? Like I think both of them are going to be pretty heavily owned.
Yeah. I think so too.
I like Fox more than I do Sato. I'm willing, if Sato starts to creep up in ownership because of the total, because of the perception of Sacramento and everything, I might lean more towards a power fade and just have minimal exposure.
Yeah, and Sato's been playing really well too.
Yeah, and that's what scares me.
Yeah,
that's what really scares me is he's playing very, very well. Like
he's playing well, and he's also priced really well. So I mean, I don't think you can avoid Sato very much. Like Kyrie Sato are probably my pairing at the moment. But as you know, I usually play between 5 and 10 different lineups. And so, like, I'll have a little bit of Shamit, which I think nobody will have versus Boston. But I think he can do some damage. I'll have some Reggie Jackson, a little bit, not too much. I'll have some Pat Bev. Like, I'll have a lot of these different guys. And we'll see what goes on with Kyle Lowry. And we heard rumblings of him possibly sitting today. It would make a lot of sense considering they're playing a depleted Cleveland team. In which case we'll have to look at some Jeremy Lin a little bit closer. That'll be value that'll pop up there. I mean, there's other options here, but, for me, I even have a Westbrook-Kyrie pairing that I think can do a lot of damage. So it's just a matter, and don't forget Chris Paul versus Kemba. Let's see how they've been doing. Versus Charlotte. Yeah, they're about middle of the field. Charlotte has been versus the point guard here the last couple of weeks. So I don't hate it, but
yeah, I'm really not on Kemba. I don't mind Chris Paul. I think 8,900 is a little bit tough, especially considering De'Aaron Fox's is $900 below. Right now, ownership projections have Paul below Fox. But it's going to kind of depend on how this news kind of goes through, because I don't think that we're done with people being out today.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Uh,
I agree.
what are you doing with Spencer Dinwiddie?
I'm not paying 7K for him.
Okay, if I told you he was 6,000 on DraftKings,
I have a lot of interest.
okay. Just wanted to make that well clear. Let's go to shooting guards. Top guy of the day is obviously James Harden. He's 12-4 going up against Charlotte.
After that stinker.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess I don't mind it.
Yeah, I think just don't mind it is about right. I mean, look at it this way, right? They're fully healthy now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we remember he was priced at 14K when they weren't, but he doesn't have that 80. I mean, he does, but not as common with Chris Paul and Gordon and Capella and everyone being back. Um, he can certainly decide, you know what, I'm taking over this game. Yes, it happens, but if I'm paying that much, I kind of like Bradley Beal for less. I mean, I'm not going to play much Beal regardless, but I'm saying if I'm going to be paying up, I kind of like Beal, who also does a ton for his team. So I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence.
Yeah, I don't. I'm kind of right there with you. Right now, I've got about 50% Harden, maybe a little bit less, but it's not. Obviously, it's still 4 hours away from lock, so I'm not really quite sure.
Yeah.
I like Donovan Mitchell a lot better. I
Oh,
like Buddy Hield. You can go down to Bogdanovich. Jaylen Brown is now going to probably be one of the highest owned players on the slate.
Don't forget Jeremy Lamb.
I was trying to get there in a sense of how are you going to handle it, because his price is going up as it should.
As it should, yeah. Well, here's the thing. Now that they're missing two players and Lamb doesn't
there
play,
could be three more of them out too.
Well, we don't know, but as of right now, they're missing two. But those two players they don't play his position. So it doesn't directly affect, but where I think it will is in a smaller style game here. Like I could see them running, obviously Kemba and Batum and Lamb, and Kaminsky at the 5, maybe, something like that. So, I mean, Kaminsky would be the backup 5 because they'll probably need a Biyombo to match up with Capella. They also have Hernan Gomez who will probably play some minutes.
Yeah,
but
and they're all cheap as freaking. Yeah, they're all basically free.
They're all free. So you pick, they'll play one of their bigs, and then, like I said, it's going to be, Kemba, Lamb, Batum, and whomever else. I mean, it could be anyone. So I don't see how Lamb doesn't play 33 minutes in a pretty nice tempo game. He's 6,500. We've seen him put up 55 guys like lately. So I think this is a really good spot for Lamb.
Yeah, I do too. I really do like him tonight. If you can't quite get up to Lamb, I don't mind going down to Bogdanovich. If Jaylen Brown's your other one, or if you're being ballsy and fading Jaylen Brown and you want to go with a Buddy Jeremy Lamb or a Jeremy Lamb Bogdanovich, then I think you're good there too. So Lou Williams.
So if you had a choice here, and I'm talking about before we get to Lou, if you had a choice here and you're talking about, and obviously their price is different. So from a point per dollar perspective, you've got one shooting guard slot and it's Buddy or Bogdanovich.
And price doesn't matter, you said?
No. Answer on a price per dollar standpoint.
Oh, a point per dollar?
Yeah. I know it's tough.
Yeah, it is. I'd probably say Bogdanovich, because
hard to argue.
I think because he's going to play more of the 3.
Well, he definitely plays the 3 with Buddy at the 2, but that just means Ariza on him. That's why I'm a little bit more hesitant. Just a little more hesitant.
But I think they can go big and like Buddy and throw Belizia at the 3. Like, sure. I don't know. I'm gonna have to look, but I think if we're going point per dollar, I think it's Bogdanovich. Like I love Buddy tonight, but I really do like Bogdanovich too. So
it's tough to argue that. It really is. It's tough to argue that. But man, I just love playing Buddy. I really do. It's just a lot of fun.
Dude, I mean, we know that we don't have to talk me into playing Buddy. So, okay, so let's get to Jeremy Lamb. Right. Or sorry, not Jeremy Lamb, Lou Williams.
Okay.
I was looking at Jeremy Lamb's name, thinking Lou Williams, and boom, there you go. If you didn't play him on Friday against Oklahoma City, then I want to say this by being in the nicest way possible. You need to rethink exactly who you're listening to or how you're listening to them, because we said on this show on Friday that he was our top play at the position.
Yeah.
Like, that included whoever else was on the slate. We were all over Lou Williams. And then it came out later in the day that Oklahoma City was on a MAW game of a 9.5. And I was like, okay, here we go. And I lowered all exposure to Oklahoma City guys. Some of them I took out completely. And that included going like 10% Steven Adams against the Clippers, which is something that we just don't do. And fading Paul George completely on FanDuel and having like, I think 10% of them on DraftKings. And I was just, we crushed.
Indeed.
Like, but with that said, I'm not going to him tonight. He's going to have Marcus Smart all over him.
I get it. I do. How do I put this? I don't know if I care. I mean, I do somewhat, but I've seen over the last 10 games, I've seen the elite scorers, which is what Lou Williams is. I mean, historical, right? Do a lot of damage. And I think that that's something that I'm not going to shy away from. Now, am I going to go heavy on Lou? Of course not. Because the matchup would say that that's crazy to do, which it is. So I get that. But at the same time, I'm still going to have some exposure.
You know, he's never broke 34 against Marcus Smart the last 3 seasons.
Yeah, I could see that. He's also on a different level right now.
He's also higher priced than he's ever been.
I've been watching his last 5 games. He just scores over anyone. It's amazing. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm not saying Lou's a good play. I'm saying Lou is somebody I want to have a little bit of exposure to.
Gotcha. So I don't know what to do with these Nets. I'll have a little bit of exposure to each of them, but I'm not gonna to the Brooklyn Nets. Like all of the Nets backcourt, like all of the Nets completely. Period. Like I'll have a little bit of exposure to each of them. I don't know which one I want more of. Typically, shooting guards against Detroit is a way that we want to attack. But I mean, do you attack with Alan Crabb? Do you attack with Karis LeVert? Do you attack with D'Angelo Russell? I mean,
it's tough, man. It's tough. I mean, like at this point, you know, Crabb plays significantly more minutes than LeVert does as the starter, and
I don't think LeVert's fully back.
Oh, he's definitely not. But he's 3,800 on FanDuel. Like that's a fantastic drop score situation with legitimate upside.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something we can definitely look at.
The problem is there's also about 10 other ones today.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, they're the new Knicks in that sense, right?
No. 10 other drop score candidates.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do like some Luke Kennard today again. Last time we went to Kennard, I was getting praised because he just smashed. It's a good spot for him again. It's a good game. Again, this is a phenomenal game. I don't know how the game total is that low, to be honest, with these two teams, but it is.
Because Brooklyn's actually been pretty decent defending the wing the last 12 games.
They certainly have. And you can credit a lot of that to DeMarre Carroll getting significantly more minutes. That helps them a lot.
That's what kind of leads me off of some of these backcourt guys for the Pistons. Like if we just look at the ADVP, they've got the second worst matchup on the board. And the only one that's worse is against the Clippers. So now you have to decide the reasoning why the Clippers have that ADVP and who he is going to be on. And then you have to go the other way. Like they're not going to stick Pat Beverly on, Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart 90% of the game. So I think there you've got the ability to, kind of gain an edge on that aspect.
Sure. Makes sense. Someone that's going to pop up a lot here because the Cavs are injured now. We're going to get a lot of David Nwaba questions. Because he's going to start popping up a lot, particularly on the DS. Once we get all of these Cleveland guys officially ruled out, and who knows who else is going to be ruled out for them. But so Nwaba is not. I mean, if you want to, like you said, there's a million other drop scores. He's certainly one of them. You can put him as a drop scorer. I wouldn't play him on DK outside of a long shot kind of thing if you're building several lineups, but that's about it. I don't even mind playing Marcus Smart here. I think Marcus Smart also has some elite upside here with his steal ability. He's been playing really, really, really good ball as of late as well. That Lakers game, even with Kyrie putting up 56 fantasy points, Smart still hit almost 30. So yeah, I mean, a lot to love there.
Yep. That'll also bring into conversation Jordan Clarkson a little bit as well. So
yeah, you brought up a stat the other night. I would like for you to tell our folks about a certain Detroit guard.
Which one was that? You're gonna have to refresh my memory.
I think it was Langston Galloway.
Oh yeah. Let me pull it up here. Langston. Oh man. Okay, so Langston Galloway has been absolutely on fire. We kind of know this. And he has just absolutely been lighting it up. I'm trying to find it here. I didn't know you were going to ask me about that, so I didn't have it ready. When was their last game? Was it yesterday?
Whose last game?
Detroit's.
Sorry. Yeah, they played yesterday. But they smashed yesterday, I think.
So that means it would be in yesterday's conversation. Since not playing in the first half of the Miami coming out of the All-Star break, Langston Galloway has hit 27 of 37 triples, 62% over his last 8 games, and the Pistons are 7-1. Mm-hmm. Like the dude is shooting 62% from beyond the arc.
He's shooting out of his mind, man.
Yeah.
It's just he's shooting out of his mind.
This is where you start to like try to figure out where does he's basically he's min price on DraftKings or on FanDuel. He is 3,100 on DraftKings. Like he doesn't play a ton of minutes. Although he has been playing like 22, 24 the last couple games. He got 29 against Chicago yesterday. But like, he's a guy, like, if you're making 100, 150 lineups, like, he's a guy that you can throw into 10, 15 of them.
Definitely.
And if he gets hot again, because he's not going to be chalked, because nobody's thinking about Langston Galloway. I'm sorry. Now, the one caveat I will say to this, if Bruce Brown is back, I think it knocks him a little bit, but only in terms of minutes. I still think that he's good. And because you can take a shot on this, it's not, oh, we're going to fade him because he's going to be highly owned and he's just on a hot streak and we're waiting for him to come back down to earth. He's not going to be owned. So you don't have a reason to fade completely. Now, I'm not saying if you're playing a 3-entry max, you're putting him in any of your entries. It's not what I'm saying. You need to be making, 75 to 100 to 150 lineups in order to have some Langston Galloway. But I will have him in some.
Yeah.
So I'll probably have him in about 5-10%.
The problem with that on FanDuel, though, is that you only get 2 shooting guards, and that's the most loaded, the most loaded position by a mile. So it's going to be tough.
Yep, sure is. So, all right, let's move on to small forward here. I don't know what I'm doing with Paul George yet. I'm still waiting for them to get out of shoot around in Utah.
Before we go into the top ones, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
What is going on with Bielitsa?
He's playing 26 minutes a game. He is getting more rotation run because of the fact that Bagley is out. And he's being a lot more aggressive when it comes to actually shooting the ball.
You could say that again, but here's why I'm asking. So I know Bagley's been out, but Bagley, initially when he was out for those first couple of games, we didn't see much Bielitsa. So like this, we saw him some, but we didn't see 26 minutes of Bielitsa.
Right.
So what changed?
Going small wasn't working, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to think, who are they throwing out there at the 4 with Willie Cauley-Stein?
It's been Harrison Barnes.
Right. Or they've put Harrison Barnes at the 3, and, they've got a bunch of wing guys, and they kind of just rotate who plays the 3, who plays the 4. But Harrison Barnes, isn't what I would call a very skilled offensive player. He can shoot at times, but when you're talking about cleaning up the garbage around the basket, it's not something that and I think that Bielitsa works a lot better with Willie Cauley-Stein down there than Harrison Barnes does. I mean, you're talking 13 shots against the Knicks on Saturday. He went for 5, 5, 2, 1, and 2. He's getting the blocks, so he's also around the rim a lot.
Yeah, they need him to be.
Maybe he's playing some of that backup 5 too.
I think he is. I think he and Giles are playing together at the 4 and 5 for the backing up Barnes and Willie. So yeah, I think that's probably what it is. All right.
So, because I mean, you're talking about 23, 30, and 28 minutes is the last 3 games.
So that's a lot. That really has my interest versus Washington. It really does.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I mean, he's one of the top values on the board, but he's not priced cheap anymore. They jacked him up from Saturday. He was 4,100 on Saturday. He's 4,600 now.
He's priced up, but he's still undervalued.
Yes. I didn't want it to sound like, he wasn't worth the price. He definitely is. It's just more of like, he's not a secret anymore is, right. I guess my thing. He's 42 on DK still. I think he's going to be higher owned over there, but he's not a secret anymore. Like,
no, he's not.
People take notice for this.
Yes.
Especially when he's going to pop off of every freaking optimizer in the industry.
Indeed he is.
So,
indeed he is.
Your pivot, well, there's not really a pivot there because Gordon Hayward's going to pop off every freaking optimizer in the industry. One of your more common ways to do the small forward position on FanDuel tonight is going to be like a Hayward Bielitsa combo if you're going with like a Russ, a Harden combo.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be like a George Kawhi and then either Hayward and Bielitsa. You're going to see a lot of Royce O'Neal today too. Like those 5-6 guys are going to be mainly where a lot of the ownership is going to be. So guys like, C.D. Osman against Toronto, guys like Jabari Parker against Sacramento.
Who love that?
Danilo Gallinari against Boston, like Trevor Ariza against Sacramento. These guys are going to go. Nicholas Batum against Houston. These guys are going to go under owned because of the value at the position being so top heavy. And then you've got Paul George and Kawhi Leonard sitting up the top by themselves.
So let me ask you this, because they're about the same price. Let's say in your lineup you've got Kyrie Irving, okay? Let's say you've got him paired with Al Horford, which I'm going to have a lot of. Then you get to your small forward. You've got $4,700 left. You popping in Hayward, or are you doing like a?
No, I'm going Bielitsa, or I'm going to go down
or Joe Harris
to Joe Harris or DeMarre Carroll.
So here's a guy that I love a lot that we're not talking enough about. I love me some Jeff Green tonight. Like, love me some Jeff Green.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see it. There's a lot of like Jay Crowder. I'm completely off Jay Crowder tonight. And we'll talk about why here in just a moment.
Yeah.
DeMarre Carroll, Royce O'Neal is. I mean, Royce O'Neal's Royce O'Neal. If you need a $3,500 drop at the position, then go for Royce O'Neal. But I don't think you're going to need to.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got guys like Miles Bridges that's going to see, and Dwayne Bacon. They're going to see more time tonight as well.
And those are the guys that I want that I've been looking at here lately, particularly Bridges. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's a Bridges game now. For all we know, they could decide to try to put Bridges on Capella. I don't know if it'll work, but we just don't know, because this is kind of unprecedented to have both of these bigs missing. But and like you said, they might have some more guys missing. Now they have more guys missing. Who else is questionable there? So Lamb is in, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist. See, if MKG misses, then I have even more interest in Bridges.
Yeah, especially with Marvin Williams out.
Zeller's
out. So it's they're running low on bodies.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see who comes up throughout the day. Joe Harris, he's another one of those Nets guys. Don't really know exactly how it's going to play out, but I'm going to have a little bit of exposure to all of them.
It's been a struggle.
And there's no trend to it. Like,
that's what I mean. It's really just very game scenario dependent.
Mm-hmm. It's who gets hot and who's got the open looks.
Yeah, it could be Crabbe, it could be Dinwiddie, it could be Russell, it could be LeVert, it could be Harris, it could be Carroll. I mean, there's just so many guys here that, I mean, that's what I mentioned before. It's like the new Knicks. Like, you just kind of have to pick one or two and hope you're right.
Except they're good.
Well, yeah. I'm talking about DFS wise.
Okay, so here's a question. With all of these guys out for Charlotte, do you have more interest or less interest in Nicholas Batum, knowing that the spacing is probably going to be a little bit different down low against the Rockets?
It'll be different, but I don't think that it lowers his ceiling, because you're probably going to see a lot more of Lamb, and that's going to spread the floor out enough. But so here what we've always said is, with Batum at the 2, we love it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, now he's probably going to play a lot more of the 3.
I know, that's why I was asking the question.
Well, that's what I'm answering. But given the lack of size, now I think Batum has to crash the boards a lot more. I think the ball will move around a lot more, given the smaller style game. allowing him for some more assists. I'm not as in love with the play, but I'm not completely shying away either, because I think what he might lose in some shots, he could gain in rebounds and assists.
See,
So
I don't think that he's going to be around the boards that much because they're still going to have Biyombo, Kaminsky, Hernan Gomez down low that they can rotate in and out. Unless you're thinking that he could end up playing some small ball 4 with Kaminsky or with Hernan Gomez.
Well, likely Kaminsky, yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm looking at outside of Capella, like they're really small. Farid is back. PJ Tucker's small. I mean, their front court is small.
Okay, that makes more sense than in the way that I was thinking. Now if MKG is in, does that change your thought?
Yeah, well, a little bit. I mean, he's doubtful, so I'm just going to assume he's gone. Usually, doubtful guys don't usually play. So,
yep. I'll put a notice in the coaches channel in our chat rooms a little bit later on what I'm going to do with Paul George. I need to do some digging and everything, and I need to look at that.
The good thing is he has had a couple days since that last game.
I know, so that's what's kind of like got me where I might want to go back to him again tonight.
Yeah.
So
I've got some already. So
all right, let's talk about power forwards here because there's 2 up at the top that we have to talk about. Blake Griffin, Kevin Love. Everybody's going to flock to Kevin Love.
I'm not.
I think Blake Griffin is by far the play. And we said this the other day. I like Blake. He has not performed well. I don't think he's going to be highly owned because of his recent performances. And that includes yesterday. Look, he's got 60-point upside. We've seen it. And he's too good of a player to not bounce and snap out or like snap out of this.
It's coming.
It's coming, and his price just keeps going down.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep playing him.
As you should. As will I. I'm playing him tonight too. A lot. Kevin Love's going to have Pascal Siakam on him. Now, Kevin Love is a former All-Star. He's back to health. He's shown tremendous upside. He's put up 50 burgers several times. He's going to struggle.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to struggle. And he doesn't have Larry Nance to help him down low anymore, which he needs. He's a finesse player. So he needs that big, and Zizic is, young, inexperienced, is going to struggle versus either Gasol or Ibaka. It's going to be a tough play for him. So I prefer Blake Griffin too. I obviously like Siakam, but at that price with Kawhi back, probably not. You know who really interests me?
Please don't say him.
I'm going to.
Okay.
Bobby Portis. And I'll tell you why, because ultimately, again, we're going to see this game go small. Portis is kind of like a Montrezl Harrell with more of a shot, right? Because Harrell doesn't shoot. But he's got the motor. He just doesn't stop. In a game with this type of pace where you've been able to attack Sacramento, I like a lot of Bobby Portis here.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
I've played him a couple times lately. And
I like Ariza. I like Jeff Green better.
Yeah, sure.
Now, don't get me wrong. I like Portis, but I'm not diminishing the fact that Willie Cauley-Stein is actually a pretty good defender. Not saying that he can't be had, because obviously we've seen that he's very inconsistent. But he's no slouch on the defensive end.
He's not. He's definitely not.
And that's what scares me a little bit about Bobby Portis, when I can go to Derek Favors, who crushes Oklahoma City, and for the same price.
I like Favors too. I've got no issue with Favors. I just feel that I think he'll go underlooked. With Siakam, Love, Griffin.
You think he'll go underlooked in the highest total of the night?
Yes, because then you have Marcus Morris, who will be complete
Son
chalk.
of a monkey.
What?
The Redskins just signed Landon Collins.
All right.
Sorry.
It's okay. I was random. So, I mean, you've got, like I said, you've got Frank Kaminsky at 4,500, who's projected for 30 minutes. You've got Marcus Morris at 5,100, who's projected for 30 minutes. How does the whole field not play those two guys for that kind of value? So that's why when you look at guys like Portis and Favors and Griffin, and even Jeremy Grant, who's not in the greatest of spots, but who's also cheap, like Serge Ibaka, depending if he starts or not. Like you've got these other players, even PJ Tucker, um, even
Can
Ed
I?
Davis, who will be needed for their size. Marquise Chris will probably
I
end
was
up
about to
playing
say, can I just
25
play
minutes.
Marquise Chris?
I mean, you've got a lot of other options here, but the chalk, make no mistake, Kaminsky and Morris are going to be the chalk. There's no doubt about that. Those two combination power forwards are going to be the highest owned across the board on all sites because of their prices.
I actually right now currently now it's obviously could change. Right now currently we have Chris and Kaminsky as the top guys.
Yeah, as far as value, sure.
No. Ownership.
Ew.
Yeah, like it's Kaminsky at 45%, which is obvious, but then it goes Marquise Chris at 29. And then Blake, Love, Siakam, Grant, Portis. So if Marcus Morris, because everybody's flocking to Gordon Hayward and Jaylen Brown and all these other guys, if Marcus Morris and Al Horford, if he's going to go forgotten about,
Lock.
oh my God, dude. Oh my God.
I just realistically, I just don't see that being possible. But
yeah, like we'll see how the ownership projections kind of fluctuate throughout the day, but yeah, I don't see that being possible either. You got any interest? I mean, you can't play Harry Giles at 4,500 for 20 minutes when you got Kaminsky sitting there, right?
Tough to do.
Yeah,
tough to do. It's really tough to
do. Let's see here. JaMychal Green's $3,700. I don't think so. Not against. He plays anywhere between 12 to 18 minutes. He's very important to that team. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. So we'll have to see exactly how.
You could say that again.
The Toronto front court shakes out, because that's going to have that's basically what you're waiting on. Is who's it going to be? Is it going to be Gasol? Is it going to be Ibaka? I tend to think today it's going to be Gasol. But I would not be shocked if it's Ibaka either. But I think it's going to be Gasol because of the fact that Zizic is probably going to start. Now, if they start Love at the 5, then they'll probably start Ibaka.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of the way I'm thinking there. But yeah, it's one of those things. With Kaminsky, I'm going to, as of right now, I'm over the field. Stucama not much over. I'm about 55 to 65%. And my core today is set at 70, 75. Mm-hmm. My core guys are gonna, like Blake Griffin right now is a part of my core. Jaylen Brown, part of my core. But those are the only two core guys I have set in stone as of right now. But Kaminsky is approaching it. Let's talk about centers here. Centers against Brooklyn. Andre Drummond, 10-6. If you're telling me, okay, so here's the thing. If you're telling me that I can have 70% Blake and 20% Andre Drummond, I'm going to be overweight probably on both of them, and they're going against the Brooklyn Nets front court. I don't know how, like, you're not just absolutely going giddy over that type of roster construction.
I mean, yeah, it's tough to argue that. It's tough to argue that.
So, I mean, that doesn't mean that like Drummond's my favorite play, but he's definitely a guy that, he can go put up 65.
I mean, he's in that spot, right? I mean, we love playing them against Brooklyn, bigs, them being bigs against Brooklyn. We have all year. We've continued to do it. I mean, I don't see how, how he doesn't smash. But it's possible. It's quite possible he doesn't. I think so I mentioned this earlier in the chat, in our army chat. I think the right tournament only play. Don't do this in cash. Don't do this 90%. Do this in one or two lineups. Is to go from Drummond to Jarrett Allen. I'll tell you why here in a second. And then go from instead of Drummond, play Blake Griffin, where, like we said, the ownership's not going to be there. All the ownership's going to be on Drummond. Now, Drummond has put up some insane numbers as of late, but understand that Zaza Pachulia has been out. And you're thinking, who gives a shit, right? Well, it makes a big difference because when Zaza is out, they let Drummond play like damn near 40 minutes.
Yeah, he's been playing, 38?
I mean, a lot of minutes because they don't really have a true dominant big backup like Drummond. So when Drummond sits, they're kind of screwed because Blake is kind of a softie when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Now, don't look into his last game because yesterday against Chicago, that was a blowout. They didn't play a lot. He only needed to play 29 minutes. So, but you look at the two games before that, Chicago and Minnesota, and he played 38 and 43 minutes. So yeah, it's definitely one of those things. Like if Zaza is back, depending on how the field reacts is going to depend. Like, I still love this, and if his ownership is still going to be below 20%, I can just set him at 17% min or 20% min and just go from there.
Yeah.
So let's talk about like, we all know that Al Horford is a good play, right? We don't need to really go over the reasoning why.
I no longer think that way. We got to explain everything to everyone at all times.
Well, the reason I say that is we're running low on time, and then we need to talk about these three guys down at the bottom.
Okay.
We need to talk about Zizic, Biyombo, and Hernan Gomez.
Okay, so Horford's a strong play, phenomenal matchup, tons of minutes, more opportunities, blah, 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 play Horford. The second guy, before we go down to the bottom, that I like here a lot, over the last 2 weeks, ready for this? The Utah Jazz are the worst at defending the center by 65 miles. Like, it's not even close. Like, they're far and above the worst at that spot. It's ridiculous. So I have a lot of interest in both Steven Adams and Nerlens Noel.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
We'll argue about that one later.
Yes.
Okay, so we have to talk about Zizic, Biyombo, and Gomez. Okay. Your chalk play of the day down here is probably going to be Zizic.
100% it is.
And the reason is because people are not going to want to play Frank Kaminsky and Bismack Biyombo together, or Hernan Gomez. I think, honestly, I give it 60-40 that Bismack Biyombo outscores Zizic.
I can see it. I can definitely see it.
So,
and I agree, and I think I agree with you.
So if and I don't mind playing both Kaminsky and Biyombo together in the same lineup. I'm not going to do it in a ton of them. Like, I don't mind doing it for different roster construction, because now you're getting off the Zizic chalk. You're still covering your chalkiness with, or you can just get bold and fade them both.
I've got several of those scenarios myself.
Because it's not like Kaminsky's cheap anymore. So, and you can play Blake and Marcus Morris, and then just turn around and play Bismack Biyombo. Like, those can be your three down low guys on FanDuel. And I still think you're in a fantastic position. I will have some shares of Willie Hernan Gomez, just in case Biyombo gets handsy with Clint Capella. Because he's a stretch five, he can come in, he can shoot the three. Now, I will say this: if that does happen, if Biyombo ends up getting handsy and they end up throwing out Hernan Gomez more at the 5 or 2 or more Frank Kaminsky at the 5, I'm really scared about what that could do to Clint Capella's upside.
Scared in what sense?
Because I think they end up throwing out Kenneth Faried to guard him. Like, it's going to pull him away from the basket. I don't see him going for 55 if Biyombo's not a major part of this game.
I could see that.
So that's my only inclination or hesitation with a guy like Clint Capella today. I mean, I still do like him. Don't get me wrong.
I could see it.
But when it comes to that part of it, it's very, very easy to see him getting pulled away from the basket today. And that brings Kenneth Faried into the conversation if he needs to.
It does.
If he's going to end up getting more run because of that. Or if Clint Capella ends up getting into foul trouble. Like, there's a lot of different ways that it can go. And I don't foresee one being more dominant of a way than the other, if that makes sense. Like, I can see this, like, say we had 50 games, I could see it being pretty much 50-50 that it could happen both ways a lot of times.
Yeah, I can see that.
In fact, I'm going to make a note to look and see who the refs are tonight, because I usually do that on hardened games anyways, and that'll let me know how on exactly which way I'm going to go. A little bit more.
Yeah. I don't.
I threw a wrinkle in it, didn't I?
No. I'm just saying, for me, I think, like, I'm not going to hesitate playing Biyombo and Kaminsky together either. So, I mean, you're talking about, two guys that are now basically playing more than they have, who are priced, with the exception of Kaminsky. But even Kaminsky, like, here, like, you want to play 3-point shooters, particularly bigs, versus Houston, because that shot is going to go up a lot. Now, obviously, it has to fall, but which you can't control. So all you really want to do is put yourself in a position where you can, like, defend, or you can play the guys that are going to put up those shots. That's really all you can do. Them falling, you can't control. But if Kaminsky starts to get his 3-point shot to fall, it's actually significantly better for Biyombo, because he's down low doing the rebounds. And, like, I can see a double-double game for Biyombo easily here. And the thing I like about Biyombo is that Lions, Trey Flowers. Is that last time? So there was an earlier part of the year where he was just inactive. He was healthy. He was just inactive for 25 games, whatever it was, and then somebody went out. It was when Zeller went down. Yeah, it was when Zeller went down. Biyombo came in and he just crushed. I mean, he crushed his first game back. Like, you have to understand something about Biyombo. Like, he's still playing for a contract. Like, he got his nice big one from Toronto. Then they traded him away, and he's kind of just disappeared here. But he gets a chance to play now. He's going to want to show, like, I'm still a big center in this league. So I love the Biyombo play, whereas, honestly, man, no one's going to touch him. Everyone's going to go to Zizic, because the optimizers are all going to show 30 minutes for Zizic. They're probably going to show like 20 for Biyombo.
20.
But in the low 20s. And that might change depending on who starts, right? We'll see. Hopefully we'll hear that sooner than later. But I do love the Biyombo play. Like, I'm going to play a decent amount of him.
Yep, I will too. Anything else you want to hit on before we get out?
Yeah. Since we're going to get asked about Thomas Bryant a ton, I mean, it's coming.
I just unchecked him.
Yeah, there's no need to play Thomas Bryant. He's not minimum price. You've got Zizic and Biombo and Hernan Gomez, all minimum price on FanDuel. You even got Aaron Baines if you want to get stupid. I mean, you've got all kinds of other options there. I will even have a little bit of Zubac tonight.
I unchecked him too.
Okay, I won't uncheck him because I think that 20 minutes is actually wrong. I don't think he's going to be playing 20. He'll be playing a little bit more. And the first Clipper game versus the Celtics, he put up like 30, which again, his price is not the greatest. But
wasn't he with the Lakers then?
No, it was his first Clipper game.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I misheard that.
February 9th. And so yeah, I mean, there are so many other options. Can Thomas Bryant go off? Sure. It's anyway. I mean, Thon Maker can go off if we're going to talk about can he, right? Anyone can go off. But in terms of the right play, I just can't do it.
I've got Zizic, Horford, Capella, Stein, Biombo, Drummond right now in my builds. Those are my guys.
Yeah.
I'm not, I might throw a little bit of Allen in there. If Gasol starts, I might toss him in a couple lineups, and I'm definitely going to have some Hernan Gomez in a couple lineups. But my center player pool, unless something drastic happens, is pretty much set.
So my center player pool: Zizic, Biombo, Horford, Allen, Cauley Stein. As of right now, that will change, but that's what it is as of now.
There you go. All right, guys, that's going to do it for us today. I don't know what the pod schedule is going to be like this week, just because of the fact that we're at the mercy of a 2-year-old. But we will be on every day that we possibly can, and we are guaranteed locked for Friday. So other than that, we'll kind of figure it out from there. But we got a good week of NBA slates this weekend, so it's going to be a lot of fun. Bear, let's get out of here because the Jazz and Thunder are just now finishing shoot around. So
let's get at them.
So, all right, for myself, for Mr. Bear, for the DFS Army, peace out. We gone.